Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Today is the day where it is dead quiet at the real estate office. I mean, there is no one here, not even a mouse. Nobody. Phones aren't ringing. Nobody wants to go see a house today. It is just dead quiet. It's just one of those days, where everybody starts, running and picking up their food orders like next door at the deli, and it's just jam packed, and everybody's picking up their platters for their holiday parties and everything else that's going on, and everybody's all so excited because they're going to be getting together with family and stuff, and you know, and I am too. I'm getting excited to get together with my wife's family because my own family, they never invite me to anything. I don't get invited to Thanksgiving. I don't get invited to Christmas. I don't get invited to pretty much anything because of the relationship that I have with my father. But they all get together and they all, do their thing, and none of them call, and none of them text, and none of them say Merry Christmas or Happy Thanksgiving or any of that stuff. And it's just absolutely pathetic, you know. Um, so I don't really harp on that too much because I've dealt with it for so many years of being the black sheep of the family, so to speak, which is ironic because my father was actually the black sheep of his family, and now he's Mr. Social Butterfly. When his own family didn't want nothing to do with him, with his mother and his father and all that. And so it's funny that, now that they're gone, now he's back in his own family. But like I said, I've been through this long enough where I let it go. Um, I've said my piece. I've tried to make amends and extend the olive branch, so to speak, and let him back into my life if he wanted it. I mean, he's got a granddaughter who's 17 years old now that he's never seen, never even talked to, never met, never touched, never hugged, never kissed. He's got a 14-year-old grandson that he's never seen. Same thing, and that's his problem. I enjoy everybody in my family, enjoy my kids, enjoy my wife, enjoy our little dog that we just got, and I enjoy my in-laws and my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and their family that comes over. Everybody, we have our own thing, but not tonight. Not tonight, because tonight is Christmas Eve, and tonight is a night for your immediate family. To kind of hunker down together. Hopefully go to bed a little early. And wait for Santa to come and drop off all the presents for tomorrow. Um, Now, if you're like my wife and I, we basically don't get each other presents because every day is like Santa. If you need something, you just go to the store, you get it, you charge it or whatever, and you get what you want every day. So it's really hard to shop for either one of us because well, especially me, I never buy anything for myself anyway. I just don't. I just wear whatever I have, or use whatever I have. Every once in a while, I'll go and get something that I need, but I actually need it. You know what I mean? Um, I just don't like wasting money on stupid stuff. And my wife's pretty much the same way. So, but anyway, today, you know, it's um, it's Christmas Eve. I figured I'd talk about a message for the day. Before I get started on the message, I do have one message though. I got what I wanted for Christmas. I got it late last night. I was at a Celebrate Recovery meeting and I pulled out my phone. It was going bing, 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 ding, ding, ding. And I'm like, why does it keep ringing so much? And I still don't know what all these sounds are on the phone, but I hit my email and there was an email from my book publisher and I got what I wanted. I got my release date for my book. My release date is going to be on February 25th, 2025. It's going to be the date that my book is officially on the market for sale to be released to the public. The price for the book, the retail price is going to be $12.99, so it's not going to break the bank. It's like you can't even go to. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's like, "Man, you can't even go to Panera Bread and get lunch for less for $12.99." So, here you can get a book that could save your life for $12.99. I mean, I think that's pretty good steal. So, anyway, just to remind you again, it's called "Are You Going to Heaven or Hell?" And it's by Michael David Kleanowitz. So if you search that, I haven't looked at it yet, but I think they said you can actually pre-order it, so you can get it shipped on the day that it gets released. It'll be shipped, and that's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I think is what it's going to be on those two sites. So you can check it out and see if it's on there or whatever. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really seen it yet. I haven't looked at it yet. So I just saw the release date, and then I am able to purchase some advanced copies of the book, which I'm going to do. So there'll be very select few of them in publication and circulation before February 25th. So just so you're all aware of that. Now, I think that's pretty much all I want to say about the book. Trying to think what else. I've been reading this devotional book, and I really like it. My friend Ron got me a 365-day devotional book that starts on January 1st. So I'm really looking forward to that for next year. So I'm trying to finish this one called Nobody Left Out. Says Jesus Meets the Messes, and it's by a guy named Michael Murray, who I just saw his ad online. He's an author. He's written like 4 or 5 books. They're all real, easy to read books, and he has he has cerebral palsy real bad, so he can't really kind of sit still and stuff as he's talking to you. But he did some videos about promoting his books and stuff, and I thought, man, I want to read those books because it just felt like God was pointing me to purchase them, and there's some really good stuff in here. It's the daily devotional. I just want to read what today's was and see if anybody maybe gets anything from it. I know I did, but I just want to kind of go over it real quick and rehash everything. So he's talking about a story of Zacchaeus, who was a tax collector, and when Jesus visited him and told him to come down from the tree, and he wanted to meet him at his house and have a supper or dinner or meal or something with him, and spend some time together. So the reading from the Bible comes from Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. And this particular devotional speaks to focus on verses 8 through 10. It says, I can't believe it's almost time to say goodbye to our friend Zacchaeus. There is so much more I love about his story, but before we can bid him farewell, I need you to look at how his life has changed the day he met Jesus. Even as the crowd is mocking Zacchaeus for being a sinner, he is being transformed. He boldly proclaimed to Jesus, Here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, in quotations it says, which he knows he has, I will pay back 4 times the amount. And that's from Luke chapter 19, verse 8 in the NIV version. That number is significant. According to Israelite law, if you stole something, you had to pay back the amount taken plus 20% on top of it. In the most extreme cases, however, the maximum penalty was paying back 400% of the amount. So If you stole a, you know, $5, you know, newspaper, then the payback would be 400%, which would be $20, be 4 times the amount. And Zacchaeus, it says, Zacchaeus, now realizing how broken and messy he is, happily sentences himself to the severest punishment. No one can deny that Zacchaeus was a changed man after meeting Jesus. But that's where things get complicated for Zacchaeus and all of us. I once heard it said that Zacchaeus was the man who went up a tree, a sinner, and came down a saint. That sounds nice, and if it's true, it ties everything together with a neat little bow. But it would also continue making Zacchaeus a measuring stick for all those who read his story. Do we measure up to Zacchaeus? Have our lives been transformed in such a radical way? The truth is, we don't know how Zacchaeus' story ended. We never read about him again. I'm not suggesting he did make good on his promise. I think that I think from that day forward, Zacchaeus lived life with honesty and integrity, and that's hard to do. Were there days where Zacchaeus felt tempted to go back to his old ways? Were there days where he messed up? Were there days where he flat out lied and cheated again? I think so. Why? Because I'm a follower of Jesus and I mess up every day. You may think I'm ending the story of Zacchaeus on a bummer note, but recognizing that Zacchaeus still had struggles can bring hope to our own stories. There is a line in the song Day by Day by the band Citizens that goes, My will is changing day by day. I'm not who I was. Now I am who I am, a sinner saved, a stumbling saint. And it says, I love that term, stumbling saint. It's a paradox, but one I understand far too well. So maybe Zacchaeus was actually, quote, the man who went up a tree, a sinner, and came down a stumbling saint, end quote. He was found by Jesus and changed by his love and forgiveness. And Jesus would stay by him even when things got messy again, just like he does for all stumbling saints. And that's, probably the truth. Stumbling saint is probably what he was, because it's really hard to be perfect, and to be um, sin free. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, it's nearly impossible. And I've never heard of anybody who's been able to do it from any kind of change in their life experience or anything, that they could just all of a sudden just be completely saved and not have sinned by doing something or saying something or cursing or whatever. Um, but what I like about this book is it goes over questions to ponder, and it says, what do you think Zacchaeus' life was like after he met Jesus? Well, it seems to me that he pretty much cleaned himself up completely, admitted his faults, immediately gave half of his possessions to the poor, and realized he should have been doing that in the beginning. And then also said on top of that, if I cheated you or I screwed you out of anything, I'm going to give you 400% back. Which, that is a pretty big, change in the person who was, made a living on, screwing people over and stuff. So, and then it says, what do you think of the term stumbling saint? Does it describe you? And, I had trouble with this one because, you know, I want to say I'm a saint. I want to say that what I do is saint worthy and that I try to live my life by, doing everything possible to always look out for the best in people and always try to help fellow man and do what Jesus would do in every situation that I'm faced with, no matter what I say, no matter how I act, no matter what I do. I always want to try to do what Jesus would do and try to be like Jesus would be. And so I don't necessarily like the word stumbling saint, because I think that implies that you're bumbling, you're messing up, you're, constantly screwing things up. Like, I wouldn't say I constantly screw things up. Do I screw things up? Yeah. I mean, I mess things up sometimes, and I think everybody does at some point, but I wouldn't say I'm a stumbling saint, um, in that regard. And, I do, with the story, feel, the same change that Zacchaeus felt when his life completely changed after he met Jesus. And, you know, I feel the same way when I was saved, and I was pulled out of the pit that I was in, of just a beaten down, depressed, and just, completely constrained by, anxiety and fear, and paralyzed and crippled, and just stuck in this funk that I couldn't get out. I just couldn't get out of it. I couldn't get out of this spiral of this downward spiral of negativity. And um and it took God pulling me out, man. He had to pull me out by my hands, pull me all the way out. And he shook me up, and he talked to me, and he said, "You're going to be fine. I got you. And you're mine now. And thank you for asking for me." And because I had to call out for him, I had to beg for him. When all I could do, when I was in that deep, dark, downward spiral place, with the pressure and the just the heavy weight of the world on my shoulders, and just in my heart, and all I could do was just call out for God to help. And thank God he did, man, because I wouldn't be here today. I would not be here today. No way. I mean, this is almost a year later from when everything kind of went down. And it was a little longer than that, so maybe say 10 months, 11 months. But it's just, there's no way I would have lasted this long without God and his divine intervention into my life. And that, meeting, just like Zacchaeus had that meeting with Jesus, it's like, it just changes you, man. When you sit down, and you are molded, and you are sculpted, and you are fixed, and you are repaired, daily by God. Like, you got to pull yourself. It's like taking your car to get your oil changed. You know what I mean? Like, you do that every couple thousand miles or whatever, but that's fine. But I'm talking about, like, taking your car. It's like taking your car in to get oil changed every single day into God's shop, like, and he's fixing you every single day. And that's what happens when you surrender yourself over to him, and you allow him to work on you, and to finesse you, and to mold you, and sculpt you, and to make you the type of person that he wants you to be. That that is what it takes to become that next level saint kind of thing. And I'm not necessarily going to sit there and say it's a stumbling saint, because like I said, I still make mistakes, but I don't make mistakes all the time. My goal is to try to be perfect every day in every way. And but there's stuff, man. I mean, I'll get into an argument with my wife, or the kids will be fighting, and I'll have to jump into that and intervene. And I probably don't handle it with as much grace as Jesus would, especially when it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm just getting home from going to CR and bringing my son home from a place that he's been all day and night. And there was like a 45-minute car ride, and I'm tired, I want to go to bed. And the last thing I want to deal with is two kids that are jawing at each other, So, I probably didn't handle that as well as I should have. Like I said yesterday, sometimes on this podcast when I'm talking, to you all, I'm not necessarily just talking to you all. Like right now, I'm talking to God, telling him, I'm sorry, for the way I handled that situation last night, and I shouldn't have snapped the way I did, and I didn't really snap in anger. I just more like more frustration and more trying to get everybody to be at peace with each other instead of having the fighting, and I mean, we got Christmas, it's like, let's just be happy, like, so, but that's my point, things happen, and things happen in your day, and, people do things in the world to push your buttons, and we don't always react the right way. We don't always say the right things. We don't always do the right things. Sometimes we act on impulse, but see, what happens is when you surrender yourself over to God, you start to learn how to, because he teaches you how to reflect on yourself and your situations when you do maybe make a questionable call and do the wrong thing. You can reflect on that and learn from that and grow from that and build from that and become a better person from that. You know, that's the ultimate goal, is that when you screw up, as we all will, it's to learn from that situation that you went through, um, and learn how to better handle it in the future. Because you're going to deal with it again. It's going to come up again. That's going to be one of your tests that you get. Because God does test you, man, and He wants to see. Did that hardhead learn his lesson from last time? Or is he just telling me he learned his lesson? You know? So, and then the last question on here was, what is one thing you've learned about Jesus from the story of the lonely thief? Well, that must have been from another chapter because we didn't really address that much in that reading. So I'm not worried so much about that one, um, but at least it gives you an idea. So, these devotional books, they're designed to get you to engage in scripture and read scripture and learn scripture, learn about these stories, and then dive a little deeper about the stories, and then process a little bit more about the stories, and process, you know, small specific parts of the stories, and help you just kind of dissect them a little bit better. And I find it very, um, very nice. There's another word I was thinking of, but we'll use that. I find it very nice that I can kind of pick up a short little book and read a daily devotional that goes into some scripture that maybe opens up some other thoughts that I might have about a particular topic or something like that. So that's why I like the daily devotionals. Um, it's not like reading the actual Bible when it's, so big and so intimidating sometimes to people. It's like, there's so much to read in there. Whereas you have like 2 pages that you can just dedicate to, every day, and you just read your devotional. It's nice. So, um, I really don't have much else to say about any of that stuff there. Um, and I just really would like to probably end it short and sweet and to the point and just say, don't forget what Christmas is all about. You know, it's not all about the family get togethers and the party platters and the food and Santa and the presents. It's not all about that, you know? It's all about Jesus. It's all about we had a miracle, an absolute divine miracle that happened on December 25th, a long time ago. And that is when Jesus arrived here on this earth as the perfect human being to ever walk this earth. That is the day. And that is what we're celebrating, his birthday. Everything about him was a miracle. He was born of the Virgin Mary. Born of a virgin. I mean, that right there tells you he was special from the beginning, from conception. So just think about that, you know, and hopefully you go to church and hopefully you'll feel the spirit in your heart. And like what we did in church and what they tried to do is give us all candles. And they lit the candle that the pastor had with the candles from the Advent candles. And they turned out all the lights in the whole church. And then they had the pastor walk over and share his candle with some other people. And then those people shared their candle with some more people. And then those people shared it with some more people and some more people and some more people until the whole entire church was lit up with candles by candlelight. And it was really powerful. And it was a strong example of how you can take your own light that is very small and very insignificant when it's just you by yourself in the dark. And you can spread your light among other people. And other people can spread their light among other people. And other people can then spread their light. And the next thing you know, the darkness is completely gone because now it's bright with light from the candles throughout the whole church. And it's amazing to see the power of what happens when you share your light with other people. And this in real life, we all have light inside of us that we carry everywhere we go. And we can either choose when we're out in public and we see other people, we can either choose to share our light with them, or we can choose to not and just put our head down and just ignore them and just walk the other way and be polite and don't say anything to anybody and make anybody feel awkward, you know? But I'm challenging you. Share your light. Share it with the world. Because if we could get everybody to do that, just like they did in church, we could light up the darkness that we're surrounded by. And the darkness would be gone. And just so you're staying with me with this podcast, when I say darkness, I'm referring to evil. And light, I'm referring to as good. That is how it's done. That is how you eradicate darkness. That is how you change not just a church, not just a city, not just a state, not just a country, but you can change the world. The world. That's some powerful stuff. And I talk about that in my book. And I talk about that. In getting people to Christ is step one. Them becoming saved and reborn and getting baptized and everything. That's step 2, 3, and 4. Like they got to do that. But that's where God and Jesus will work on them. It will help them and show them if they can just commit themselves to seeking God's help to get where they need to go in life, into a better place, into a better state of mind. So many people walking around out there just lost. They're spiritually lost. They're spiritually empty. And they're spiritually dead. They're dead. The Walking Dead. That's a show, but it's about zombies and stuff. But literally, we're surrounded by the Walking Dead, spiritually speaking. We need to wake them up. Wake them all up before it's too late. Before it's too late. That's what Christmas is about. Sharing your light. Sharing and celebrating Jesus. It's not about all the other crap that happens or doesn't happen for some people that aren't privileged enough. So think about that. Enjoy church. Enjoy your families. Enjoy Christmas. And enjoy Jesus.